Hi everyone, thanks for joining us again. As you can see, Sharis and I are in a little bit different of a location. We were enjoying being outdoors and it was very lovely, but the weather is changing and it's erratic, so...
The cicadas.
The cicadas.
So loud outside.
Yeah. So hopefully this turns out as good or better than what we had before. Thanks for joining us in our own house. Today, for the tea, we have, it is called Earl Grey French Blue. It's from Mariage Frere. It's a French tea company. I believe this one was a gift from my mother when she went to Paris last year or the year before. I can't remember. But it's a very lovely Earl Grey. Did I already say it was Earl Grey French Blue? If I didn't.
I know.
Okay, Earl Grey French Blue. If we open it up and smell that. It's really strong.
It's very strong. Almost insults you when you first hits your face.
But once you brew it, mix it with a little cream. It's so lovely.
It is.
It's a nice velvety Earl Grey with just a little something extra. And it's quite a delightful drink. So,
what is the blue?
It's a blue flower.
Just a blue flower?
Yes, royal blue flowers. I don't know if that's just a description or if that's the kind of flower.
Okay, then.
Thanks for making me look like I don't know anything.
I assumed the can would know, but it doesn't know any more than we do.
No, but tea is lovely, regardless of what's in it.
It is. It's very pleasant. Recommend this one.
Yes. Anyway, today we thought we would share a few ideas with you because we realize that as we talk with different women, whether it's individuals or groups of women, it's so interesting as we talk about concepts, philosophies, and all these different things. At the end of the conversation, it always comes down to practical application. How do I make this work in my house, in my life? Not just philosophies and concepts, but give me real world advice.
Yeah, nitty gritty, day to day.
Yeah. So we figured that would be the best thing that we could share with you today is some of the practical tips that we have on how to get along with a sister wife and make this work.
Over the years, we've had quite a few women express to us that they could never live this way because they're just too jealous. I'm a jealous person by nature, and how fortunate Vanessa and I are that we were able to find such compatibility in a sister wife right off the bat. And the reality is that's just not the case. We both have had to struggle with jealousy over the years, and this relationship that we have now was not always the case. We had to work on this relationship and prioritize it.
We're very different people.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like, oh, we just fell in and clicked and we just think the same way all the time. No, we're very different. We've worked at this relationship for going on 2 decades now.
Yeah, it's like any relationship. If you want it to work, you've got to work on it. You've got to build it. You've got to treat it as something that's special. I've talked to quite a few people who are like, me and my sister wife don't get along, and how do we get to the place where you guys are at? And so those are some of the tips we're going to start sharing with you. What are the things that we have done to get to where we're at now?
The first principle we're going to start with, I think, is the bedrock. It's the foundation of everything. Is what is your testimony as an individual? So much of everything else is almost irrelevant. If you don't know for sure that what you're doing is good in God's eyes, and that your conscience knows that what you are pursuing is morally acceptable before God and yourself, then everything else is going to be a struggle.
Yeah.
So what we've discussed is this idea that we all need to understand what we're doing and have a testimony or a firm conviction that what I'm doing is right.
Yeah.
And that's something that I have. That's something that you have.
Yeah. And it's my own personal conviction, and she has her own personal conviction. And even if Jeff and Vanessa changed their minds or their hearts, I would still feel this way. It is my testimony, my conviction outside of anybody else and what anybody else chooses to do with their life.
Right. Because things get hard. And even in a regular traditional marriage, things get hard. So if you question, should I even be in this marriage every time things got hard? it would really be a challenge.
It would make things a lot more difficult than they need to be.
Yeah. And then the same thing, obviously, in a plural relationship. If you question, is this even right? Every time something comes up, which is inevitable, then it's going to be a real challenge to move forward in anything. So, first things first, have a conviction. Get a testimony of what you're doing. Is it right? And if you have that, great. Then you can pursue moving forward with a clean conscience and
I mean, if that foundation is solid, then it's a lot easier to move forward from there and build something of value.
Yes.
I think the next tip would be that if you are working towards a common goal with people, if you have common values, then the sense of teamwork, the camaraderie that can come with that, and recognizing that despite somebody else's personal flaws or their bad days, that you're on the same team, you're working towards the same goal, and that you'll have your bad days, and that's okay. You can move, if you're working towards the same goal, working in the same direction, your trajectory is the same, then it's a lot easier to work through those difficult moments and try to find solutions to the problem when you're both trying to come to the same end goal.
Yeah, Sharis and I have had many years of that, and we know that we're working towards the same things and we have the same goals. So when minor things come up, it's become very easy for us to just figure them out, because it's not shaking our foundation. It's just, oh, well, here's a small thing that needs to be fixed. Let's fix it so that we can get back on track and head where we're heading.
So I have two sons, Daniel and Dalinar. They're less than 2 years apart, and they are so competitive.
Yeah, they are.
It's exhausting. It's constantly all day long. They're at each other. They have to one up each other. They're looking for ways to get the other one in trouble, so it sets themselves apart. And it's siblings, it's boys, it's life, but it's exhausting. And the other day, they got a friend reached out and was wondering if they could come do some work for them, some outside work, and that they would pay them for their time. And I had this discussion with them on the drive over to their job that, boys, I need you to recognize something while you're at work today. You are on the same team. You need to have the same goals in mind. You want to make sure your employer is happy and that you give her the value in your work that she's willing to pay you for, and that you represent your family while you're out in a public setting. And if you guys are bickering and challenging each other and constantly fighting, one, your employee is not going to have a good time. You're not going to have a good time. You're not going to be able to focus on the goals, which, she's paying you for your work. She's paying you for your time, and you need to be respectful of that. And at the end of the day, they did such a fabulous job.
Oh, she was very pleased.
She was.
Yeah.
And it made me so happy because they got it. They understood. They were on the same team, working towards the same goal. And they didn't have to criticize each other. They could just work towards this end goal. How many times can I say goal in one video? My goodness. I should start keeping track. Anyway, and so it's the same concept. We're on the same team. And at the end of the day, I want my sister wife to be successful because her success is a team success.
Yeah.
So this is not competition. We're on the same team working towards the same goals.
I think a practical exercise that you can try to build this is to actually have a game night where you literally are on the same team, but it's over something very inconsequential. Invite over some other couples or friends and put you and your sister wife, or your sister wife and your husband, on the same team, so that maybe you're not familiar with what it feels like to root for each other. And so that gives you a chance to put yourself in a situation where you're cheering each other on, you get the excitement of their successes. And if it's something you're not familiar with, you get to introduce that to yourself. Or if it's something you are familiar with, you get to stay in that space, that mental space of working with each other as a team, getting excited. And it's very low stakes, it's just a game night. It's fun.
Yeah.
And that's something where you can remember what it feels like to be excited for each other. And plus it's fun. Who doesn't like game night?
Yeah, game nights are great. Yeah. Unless it's word games. But anyway, moving on.
But then that's where I help you win.
This is true. This is one of the benefits of having the same team working towards the same goal.
Right.
Some people are going to be better at things that you're not good at, and that's a blessing.
Yep.
Okay, so I think another tip that I would give people is not to expect everything to go perfect right away. And you need to be able to give space for growth in other people. You need to be willing to forgive other people for not being the best possible version of themselves right now.
That's really good advice. As we all know, life is hard and tricky. And I know that I do not have all the answers. I look to my kids and tell them what to do and hope that they don't notice that I'm still figuring this out. I don't know what in the world to do next. But let us all have grace for each other. Have grace for your sister wife in those moments where she's trying to figure things out, or you're trying to figure things out, because we don't know the answers right away. And it takes time. And maybe you feel like, well, I know the answers. I told her what to do. Well, maybe you're right. Give her time to think on it and to decide if that's what she wants to implement, and be patient, because this is very difficult, and feeling like somebody's breathing down your neck, expecting perfection right away, does not help things at all.
No, and it kind of goes back to that first point you made of testimony and conviction. Just because you're telling somebody the right answers and what's going to work, until they make that their personal conviction and their personal choice to implement that, it's so what? Yeah. It doesn't work for them until they choose to make it personal.
Right. And that's something that I've noticed even with my teenagers. I have to give them insight and share some thoughts with them, and then I have to wait for a minute and wait for them to think about it and then make it their own.
Yeah.
Because until it's their own, it doesn't matter. They have to be able to make their choices on their own and live with the consequences. And so if I step back and let them choose it, they come to it more quickly. But if I insist and demand right away, there's resistance on their part. And so I think the same goes with pretty much any relationship, especially with a sister wife. If you expect changes in a certain time frame, you're going to set yourself up for failure. But if you just let each other come to things as they can, then each of us, as we get presented with things we might need to change, it gives us a moment. And there's not that resistance that you feel when, well, I was going to wash the dishes, but you told me to, so now I'm not going to.
Daniel literally told me that the other day. He was on his way outside. I was like, Daniel, while you're out there, could you please patch that spot in the chicken coop? And he's like, I was literally going to do that. It was on my way, but now you've told me to. And it takes the pride out of, I did that without being asked. Right, I just did it because it was the right thing to do. Yeah. Like, oops, sorry.
Yeah. And that concept ties in kind of with our final one. Something to be aware of is be very careful of your expectations. Expectations can be wonderful or horrible.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a sister wife, you have to be very careful about what you expect from her. And imagine that you are excited about having a sister wife and she comes into the family, and then you expect her to be your best friend because you're like, sister wives are best friends, let's be best friends. And all of a sudden she's not your immediate best friend. Well, then you're mad at her because she's not fulfilling her end of this bargain that she doesn't know about.
How dare she not be perfect immediately?
Yes. Or like an example of somebody looking for, what was that, the garden?
Oh, yeah. I was talking, this happened years ago. I was talking to a woman who she was excited about the idea of a sister wife. And one thing she expressed was, I'm so excited because I want a garden, but I don't like gardening. And so I need my sister wife to love gardening, to have a green thumb. That would just be perfect. That's the sister wife I want. And I remember thinking, well, man, that would be great. I would love a sister wife with a green thumb. I want a garden.
Loves to do dishes and laundry and mop floors.
That's who we
want. That's
all day, every day. And there's the realization that this woman was setting herself up for disappointment. And, there's a certain amount of compatibility you have to make your family grow and flourish in a peaceful manner. But it's like, so long as maybe 80% of those things are in place, things like your moral values, your religious standing, your political views, so long as all these types of things are in place, is this other 20% really important? What if she can't garden? What if she's perfect in every other way, but she can't garden?
Instead of setting an expectation of what you want her to be, this dream person, this completely perfect, rather look at it as a way for her to reveal her strengths to you, rather than being like, oh, well, she didn't check this box or this box. Like, well, what values does she have? What characteristics does she display that are really great that you didn't even consider? Maybe she's not a gardener and you still don't have that box ticked, but she might have a lot of strengths that you never knew to be aware of.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend the other day, and she asked me about unmet expectations. She's like, what happens if my sister wife and I don't click immediately? What if we're just on the different pages on so many different things, and what if we're just not the friends that I dream of right away? And I was able to share some of our tips with her, that, well, Vanessa and I, we didn't start this way. We had to work on it. And it's not unlike working through some of the unmet expectations you may have had with, say, your spouse or your children or your siblings. It's just like any other relationship. You can have hopes and dreams, but at the end of the day, if you hold these people up to this list of expectations you've come up with, you're going to be disappointed. And, on the flip side, if your sister wife came in and was like, okay, this is how I've envisioned my sister wife, this is who you have to be for my expectations. So you have to have realistic expectations and goals of people, and you have to be willing to give people time and grace the same way you give yourself time and grace.
And here's another tip for expectations. If you have expectations, but you don't define them to the other person, they are under no obligation to live up to them because they don't know they exist.
Yeah.
That has been the source, I know, of personal frustrations. If I have expectations of, say, Sharis, but I don't tell her that is the case. Like, I expected you to take the garbage out yesterday.
Yeah.
Why is it still here? And you're like why?
That information would have been good to have.
Yes.
Before this conversation, before yesterday happened.
So I don't really have the right to get upset with Sharis for not taking out the garbage if it was not clearly defined. If we had a chore chart and she was the one defined to take out the garbage Monday and then didn't, okay, well, that has been defined. Then it's something
that it's like, hey, why didn't this happen?
And then we can talk about that. Yeah. Not like, well, you're a failure, but like, okay, this didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then you can get into it. Is it because your workload is too heavy, or is it because you just forgot, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah.
But if I or we don't define them beforehand, there's really no room for us to hold each other to a standard that is unknown by the other person.
Yeah. Yes, no, that's very, very true. Communication is key. And this also reminds me, the same friend that I was talking to, one of the things that she expressed to me, one of her concerns, was, what if my new sister wife communicates differently than I do? And what if she communicates with my husband better than I do? And, I mean, they could have this great relationship that I don't have because I don't have that skill. And I was like, honey, I get it. I get it 100% because I'm there. I've been there. Vanessa is much better with words. It's much more better. She's much better with words than I am. And I remember when I first got married, it was a real struggle for me. I would watch her and Jeff talk for hours, and they seemed to be getting somewhere in their conversation and enjoying it. And that was a struggle for me, and I had to sit back and be like, okay, I'm jealous. I'm jealous of their communication skills. And on the one part, I realized, okay, this is a personal insecurity. Does Jeff want to talk to her more because she's better at it? Does he not like talking to me because I'm not as good? No, that wasn't the case. It was just different. But it also gave me a goal, something to reach for. I saw something in their relationship that I wanted, that I was like, okay, I'm jealous because I want this, and there's nothing in the rule book that says I can't have it, so I can work towards it. And I've come to realize how much of a blessing it is that we communicate so differently. And there are many areas that she's just better at it than I am. We can sit down and we can talk, and we're on the same page with a lot of things because we're just women. And we're trying to run the same household.
Women,
we're just women. Sorry.
We are women.
We are the women. Anyway, And she can relate those conversations to Jeff much better than I can.
Right. If we discuss an issue and she and I can get on the same page, like, okay, I see where you're coming from. I see this and I see that.
Yeah.
And then when I go to talk to Jeff about
She's much better translating woman into Jeff. So that's been a blessing for me because she has this strength that originally I was super jealous of, but I was able to step back and go, oh, this is actually a tool that's not in my arsenal. It's not on my tool belt, but I get to use it.
Yeah, you have access to it through me because we're on the same team, you know.
Yeah.
And so my strengths are also a strength on behalf of Sharis.
Her success is a success for the whole team.
Right. So yes, that's been a really nice thing for us to recognize and utilize on purpose.
Yeah. And you know, one tip I did give to my friend when it came to this, what if we communicate differently? Practice communicating.
Yeah, you could set up a tea date with each other or whatever, where you just sit and chat. I mean, she doesn't even have to necessarily know that that's your goal, but if you make time to talk with each other and you set out to get to understand her and learn how to communicate, even if it's just sharing lighthearted stories or talking about your week or your day, those are ways, one, you cultivate a friendship and a bond, and two, you get to understand each other's communication styles and maybe what they value or what they are seeking for. And it enriches the bond that you are striving to create.
Yeah. There's a certain amount of vulnerability that's necessary when you sit down with someone else and discuss things as important to you as your children or your home or your husband. It requires you to be vulnerable. And so if you make time to develop a relationship with someone, not talking about any of those items, you can begin to relax around them so that it's much easier to open up and have those difficult or sensitive conversations.
We hope that some of these tips that we've shared with you today, I know some of them are very practical and others are still a little in the philosophical realm, but I hope that you can use some of the ones that seem helpful and really strengthen the foundation that you have with your family as you seek to build a family or work on the one that you have. And we will continue to share more of the tips that we have found over the years that have really been helpful to us. So we thank you again for joining us for tea and hope that we see you again next week. Thanks.
Thank you.